Welcome to Dark Deeds and Conspiracy, the podcast that unearths chilling true crimes and mind-bending conspiracies. Each episode, we explore a dark corner of history or a mystery that still haunts us today. Let's dive in.
Welcome to the deep dive. We've got some really compelling source material here today, and our job, like always, is to dig in and pull out the key stuff for you.
That's the plan.
Today's focus is the, still unsolved disappearance of Brianna Maitland. Happened way back on March 19th, 2004, up in Montgomery, Vermont. Still chills you thinking about it.
It really does. And the articles you've got covered, the timeline, the investigation's ups and downs, all the different theories, plus the background. It's a lot.
Definitely a lot.
But yeah, our mission here is to basically sift through it, lay out the core facts, point out the really strange parts of this case, and kind of walk through the main theory so you get a clear picture without getting lost in every single detail.
Okay, good. So let's start with the basics. Who was Brianna Maitland, and what are the absolute key facts about her disappearance?
Right. So Brianna Alexandria Maitland, born October 8th, 1986, which means she was only 17 when she disappeared on March 19th, 2004.
She's 17. Wow.
Yeah. And the last time anyone definitely saw her was leaving her job.
Right.
She worked at the Black Lantern Inn there in Montgomery. Left around 11:20 p.m. that night.
11:20 p.m. Okay.
That time's pretty specific, yeah. Keep that in mind.
And then her car turned up pretty quickly, right? The next day.
Yes, the very next day. Her car, it was a green 1985 Oldsmobile, was found. But not just anywhere. It was backed into an old abandoned barn.
Backed into it?
Yeah, about a mile from the restaurant. Near this place, locals called the Old Dutch Burn House. And the way it was backed in, that's one of the first really odd things. It wasn't just pulled over.
Huh. That is strange. And what about inside the car? Was it empty?
No, and that's crucial. Her personal stuff was still there. Paychecks from the inn, her contact lenses, other bits and pieces.
Okay, so paychecks left behind.
Right. That usually tells you, that someone didn't plan to leave. It immediately makes you think less ran away and more. Something else happened suddenly.
Right, foul play comes to mind much faster. Now, the police response initially, I read it wasn't immediately treated as suspicious.
No, not right away. The trooper who found it first, his initial thought was maybe a drunk driver just ditched the car there. So the car actually got towed to a garage before anyone even reported Brianna missing.
Yeah.
That delay. It's a big point of discussion. Those first hours are critical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
When did her parents actually realize she was missing and, file a report?
It took a few days. See, Brianna wasn't living at home right then. She was 17, kind of independent, staying with a friend over in Sheldon.
Oh, okay.
And that friend was apparently away for the weekend, so didn't immediately realize Brianna hadn't come back. It wasn't until the following Tuesday, March 23rd, that her mom, Kelly, started putting things together and officially reported her missing.
Tuesday, so that's what, 4 days with the car already found? That feels like a huge gap.
It's a significant delay, yeah. Definitely complicates things from the start.
Okay, let's dig into those unusual details at the scene more. You said the car was backed into the barn, like forcefully.
It seems that way. Description suggests it was backed in with enough force to actually go slightly into the barn, damaging the siding. And really weirdly, a piece of plywood.
Plywood?
Yeah, plywood that had been covering a broken window on that abandoned house, the Dutch Burn House. It somehow ended up on the trunk of Brianna's car.
On the trunk? How does that even happen? That's incredibly bizarre.
Right. It suggests some kind of interaction.
Yeah.
More than just backing up. It's hard to picture how you'd accidentally end up with that on your trunk after backing in.
No kidding. What else seemed off about the scene?
Well, the driver's side window was broken. Why isn't clear. The first responders didn't know signs of a struggle inside the car initially.
Okay.
But people who stopped later, before it was towed, they took pictures. And they reported seeing loose change, maybe a necklace or bracelet, on the ground near the car.
So personal items inside and potentially some outside too. And that plywood just hovering there.
Exactly. That piece of plywood from the house window sitting on her car trunk. It's one of those details that just doesn't fit easily into any simple explanation.
And the car itself. Anything else about how it was left?
The front tires were turned sharply to the driver's side. The doors were unlocked. And the keys were gone.
Keys missing. Okay.
Yeah, it all paints this picture. It's just not adding up to an accident or a simple abandonment. It feels, like you said, weird. Intentional, maybe.
Definitely feels intentional and, deeply disturbing. Okay, let's shift focus a bit. Tell us about Brianna. Who was she as a person?
Well, from everything in the sources, she comes across as really independent, very artistic. People described her as smart, kind, maybe a little introverted, but definitely knew her own mind.
What was she into? Hobbies?
Judo, apparently. Art, reading, animals. Typical teenager in some ways, but with that independent streak.
And her living situation. You mentioned she wasn't at home.
Right. She'd moved out of her parents' place when she turned 17. Her mom said it wasn't like a big fight or anything, more just Brianna wanting her own space.
Okay.
So yeah, living with that friend in Sheldon, Vermont, which is maybe 20 miles west of Montgomery, where she worked and where the car was found.
Gotcha. And she was working quite a bit, too.
Yep. 2 part-time jobs, one at a diner over in St. Albans, and then the evening shifts at the Black Lantern Inn. She'd actually dropped out of high school.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but she was planning to get her GED. Seemed like she wanted to figure things out, maybe go back to school eventually.
So kind of finding her feet, being independent, making plans. What about the day she disappeared? I think her mom spent time with her.
Yeah, that Friday, March 19th, the day she went missing, she was with her mom quite a bit. They had breakfast. Then Brianna took her GED math test.
Did she pass?
She did, yeah, passed the math test. Then they went shopping together in St. Albans. But her mom remembered that at one point during the day, Brianna seemed kind of agitated, anxious, just for a bit.
Any idea why?
Not really clear from the sources, just a flicker of something being maybe not quite right, which, looking back...
Yeah, that seems potentially huge, doesn't it? That little mood shift on that specific day. Okay, now let's look at the weeks before she vanished. There was some kind of fight, right? An assault?
Yes, a big one. About 2 weeks before she disappeared, Brianna was physically assaulted at a party. By a former friend, actually, a girl named Keely LaCrosse.
Wow. How bad was it?
Bad enough she got a broken nose and a concussion. Brianna filed a police report about it, too.
Okay, that's serious, and only 2 weeks prior.
Exactly. It's a major event right before she vanishes. You have to wonder if it's connected, Though police apparently cleared LaCrosse of direct involvement later on. Still,
it points to some serious conflict in her life. Were there other signs she was maybe, I don't know, stressed or worried about something?
There are some suggestions, hints from friends or family that maybe she seemed a bit uneasy in those last days. Some talk about her feeling threatened, maybe getting tangled up with some people or situations that made her uncomfortable. And on the night she disappeared, when she left the Black Lantern Inn, she told her coworkers she was just heading home to rest up before her shift at the diner the next day.
Which sounds totally normal.
On the surface, yeah. But knowing what happened next, you read into it differently, don't you?
Absolutely. It definitely paints a picture of maybe more going on under the surface than she let on. Okay, let's get into the theories. It's been 20 years, no answers. What are people thinking happened?
Well, like we said, running away voluntarily, pretty much dismissed early on, just doesn't fit with the stuff left in the car, no sign of planning.
Right.
So the main theory, the one most people lean towards, is abduction or foul play. Could be someone she knew, someone she trusted even, or a stranger.
And the drug connection keeps coming up in the articles.
It does, big time. There are persistent rumors linking her disappearance to local drug activity. People talk about this sort of Vermont underworld.
What does that usually mean in this context? Like organized crime?
Could be. Or just, the networks involved in selling and using drugs, the conflicts that come with that. It's often mentioned in these rural settings.
So maybe retaliation related to drugs.
That's another major branch of the foul play theory. Maybe a dispute over money, a drug debt, or maybe she just got accidentally caught up in something related to that world.
Yeah.
There have even been these unconfirmed confessions over the years.
Yeah.
People claiming she was killed accidentally during some kind of drug thing. Nothing solid, though.
And then there's the human trafficking idea.
Yeah, that one's mentioned, though maybe less mainstream. The fact that Montgomery is pretty close to the Canadian border fuels it a bit. Plus those unconfirmed sightings like in Atlantic City or Canada.
But no real evidence for that one?
No credible evidence has ever surfaced, no. It remains more speculative.
Okay. Now there's one theory that seems to get a lot of airtime, the pig farm theory. Sounds pretty grim.
It is grim. It came from this alleged confession back in 2006. A woman came forward claiming Brianna was murdered after going to a party up in Berkshire, Vermont, not too far from Montgomery.
Okay. Murdered by who?
She implicated 2 local guys, men with criminal records, known connections to the drug scene. The really disturbing part of the claim was, that they dismembered her body and fed it to pigs on a nearby farm to, get rid of the evidence.
Oh, my God. That's horrific. Did the police check that out?
They did. They took it seriously. Searched a pig farm in 2006. Used ground-penetrating radar. Cadaver dogs took soil samples. The works. Found nothing conclusive. No physical evidence to back up that specific story. But the woman who gave the tip, apparently she passed a lie detector test.
She passed a polygraph. Wow.
Yeah, which is why that theory, despite the lack of physical evidence from the search, still kind of hangs around. It's hard to just completely dismiss,
Definitely makes it stickier. Okay, let's talk about persons of interest. Important to say, these aren't official suspects, right? Just people whose names have come up.
Yeah, exactly. Not formally named suspects, but people who, for various reasons, investigators have looked at or that rumors have focused on. One name you hear a lot is Ramon Ryans. He was known as the St. Johnsbury drug connection.
A known dealer.
Yeah, operating in that area around the time Brianna vanished. The speculation usually involves maybe Brianna owing him money or somehow getting mixed up in his activities. His place was searched right after she went missing. They found drugs, but no sign of Brianna.
And there was someone associated with him, too.
Right. Nathaniel Jackson, reportedly an associate of Ryan's, had a reputation for being violent. And importantly, he's one of the guys named in that pig farm confession.
Okay. That connects back.
Then you have Kelly LaCrosse, the girl who assaulted Brianna.
Right, the fight 2 weeks before.
Yeah. Apparently she refused to take a polygraph test after Brianna disappeared. That raised some eyebrows, made people wonder if that fight was about something bigger, maybe related to why Brianna vanished.
That makes sense. Any other individuals or groups?
Well, there's talk of these unnamed local men. Comes up in rumors, and again in the pig farm story. Often linked to parties, drugs, in places like Berkshire and Richford. Maybe a social circle Brianna was on the fringes of.
Possibly.
Her ex-boyfriend was looked at briefly very early on, but doesn't seem to have remained a focus. And then there's just the general idea of the party crowd, this sort of nebulous group of young adults in the local drug scene who might know something but aren't talking.
Yeah, you can see how in a small community, maybe fear or misplaced loyalty could keep people quiet. Let's circle back to the car again. It feels so central, that staged look you mentioned.
It really is critical, isn't it? Backed into the barn, that weird angle. It almost feels like someone trying to make it look like something specific, maybe an accident, maybe just abandonment, but done clumsily or deliberately misleadingly.
Right. And combined with her stuff inside the car, paychecks, contact.
Yeah, strongly points away from her leaving intentionally. And even though there weren't obvious signs of a big fight in the car, the whole scene just felt wrong. Investigators, observers, they all kind of note that feeling. It was just off.
And that initial delay, police not treating it as a crime scene right away, that must have hurt the investigation.
Oh, absolutely. You lose that golden hour, or in this case, golden days, for finding forensic evidence, fingerprints, trace evidence. Yeah. Time is crucial. Delaying the serious investigation definitely didn't help.
Over the years, there have been sightings reported, right, and unconfirmed, but why did people think they saw her?
Yeah, quite a few. Sadly, all unverified. Soon after she vanished, some locals thought they saw her walking near Route 118, close to where the car was, never confirmed.
Okay.
Then there was a fairly public one in Atlantic City, New Jersey. A waitress in a casino thought she saw Brianna. A PI even went down there, but again, couldn't positively ID her. Canada. A truck stop near Sherbrooke, Quebec, maybe in 2005. Trucker saw a young woman who looked like her, seemed scared, wouldn't make eye contact. Couldn't be confirmed.
Wow.
There was even a rumor, maybe 2006, 2007, about Las Vegas. Possibly involved in sex work. The FBI checked it out, found nothing credible. It's just these tips pop up now and then, but they mostly lead nowhere. Must be heartbreaking for the family.
Unbelievably hard. So any actual progress in more recent years? Any concrete developments?
There was something in 2016. Vermont State Police said they had a promising lead, sent some items from the car off for more advanced DNA testing. Didn't release results publicly back then, though.
Okay, a potential lead, but then something more definite happened recently.
Yes, potentially very significant.
Yeah.
March 2022, police announced they got a DNA match from evidence in Brianna's car.
A match? To who?
To one of 11 people they had previously tested related to the case. They also said this person was being cooperative. But they haven't released the name or explained what the DNA means. Was it on the steering wheel? Something else? We don't know publicly.
Wow. That feels huge. A DNA match after all this time. It suggests they might know who else was in that car, or at least near it.
Exactly. It could be a major piece, but they're holding it close to the vest for now. And the FBI, they've been involved for a while too, right?
Yeah, their VICAP unit, Violent Criminal Apprehension Program, has been assisting since 2012. Shows it's still very much an active federal interest. And just recently, a new push for info?
March 2024 for the 20th anniversary. Big announcement. $40,000 reward offered by the FBI and Vermont State Police for information that leads to finding Brianna or solving the case.
$40,000, that's substantial. It shows they haven't given up hope, definitely trying to generate new leads.
Absolutely. It's a clear sign they're still actively working this, still hoping someone will finally come forward.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, it's just striking how after 2 decades, despite all the theories, the sightings, the investigation, Brianna Maitland's disappearance is still such a profound mystery.
It really is.
Yeah.
So many core questions just hang there. What really happened after she drove away from the Black Lantern Inn? That car scene. Was it staged? Who did it? Why? And that DNA match, what does it actually point to? That's the thread you hope they're pulling on hard right now.
And you think about her family. 20 years of not knowing. Her father, Bruce Maitland, started a foundation, didn't he? The Bruce Maitland 611 Foundation for the Missing.
Yeah. Doing important work, advocating, supporting other families stuck in that same awful limbo. It's crucial work.
This case really highlights that collision of factors, doesn't it? Rural Vermont, those persistent rumors about drugs, the just deeply weird circumstances around the car.
Makes you wonder what tiny detail, maybe overlooked back then or maybe kept secret all this time, could be the key. There's still some piece of that puzzle just sitting out there waiting for the right person to see it or finally speak up.
Thanks for listening to Dark Deeds and Conspiracy. If this story intrigued you, tap the like and subscribe buttons. It helps more than you know. Got a case you want us to cover? Drop it in the comments. New episodes posted on Tuesdays. Until next time, stay curious, stay safe, and never stop searching for the truth.